Warm good afternoon to all the respected dignitaries, teachers, and all my dear friends. I am Bhargavi from Senior Inter.
I am Sujana from degree second year.
This is Kirtana from Senior Inter.
And I'm Spandana Tripathi from BA final year.
I'm Sana from BA final year.
I'm Saiti from Senior Inter.
I am Charanya Barika from Senior Inter MPC.
I'm Nazma from BA first year.
We all are here to discuss our vision of self-reliant India. So, I want to start with a scenario. Let's imagine a situation where a small bird is completely dependent on its mother. If the mother suddenly leaves the bird before it reaches its complete independence, will it be able to survive in the wild? Yes, of course it will be able to survive in the wild, but after a period of continuous struggle. India's history of self-reliance is also such a struggle scenario. Now, when we take a glance at the chronological order of India's self-sufficiency, late in the 17th century, Indian subcontinent under the Mughal Empire became the largest manufacturing economy of the world. But between the 1870s and 1895, British India became the largest customer of Britain's Lancashire cotton industry and railway material. Later, after the decades of independence, the state-run heavy industries under the strategical sectors have made India ahead of many other developing countries. But the industrial ecosystem was kept hostage to the license permit quota systems, which stifled innovation. In 1990s, India embarked on liberalization, privatization, and globalization policies, which shunned the previous restrictive industrial policies. But the very point of self-reliance became unavailing in the belief that latest technologies can be imported from outside at a cheaper cost. And in 2014, on 25th September, India have initiated Make in India Initiative campaign. Now, one may confuse with the objectives of Make in India Initiative and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Make in India Initiative campaign endeavors to boost the manufacturing sector of the economy, but Atmanirbhar Bharat revolves around reviving all the spheres of economy from demand to manufacturing. Now, I don't think so the struggle is ended here. We also need to put a lot of grease in our elbow to make this campaign successful.
Yes, we know that India is a country with compassion, peace, and happiness. We all are proud of our country, as agriculture is the backbone as it moves the GDP ahead. This term called self-reliant India was not only started now, but it was even in the Independence Day, where the first Prime Minister have told about this in the first Constituent Assembly of Sovereign India with a title called Tryst with Destiny. I think so, this self-reliant India is the new version, this Atmanirbhar Bharat and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is focusing on economic stimulus packages, have 5 pillars, which are economy, system, infrastructure, demography, and demand. And this was started on 12th May 2020, as all we know. And this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which has been started on 12th March 2021, with the efficiency of Dandi March, which has been started by Mahatma Gandhi. And this will be held for 75 weeks and will be continued till 15th August 2023. And the Prime Minister have said us that other 5 main factors of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which are freedom struggle, achievements at 75, ideas at 75, resolves at 75, and actions at 75. This Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the main aim of this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is to remember the hurdles and to remark the setbacks.
So, taking one of the main components of the 5 pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is economy. So both economic growth and economic development contributes to the nation's development. So in 1990s, Gandhiji also mentioned that self-reliancy means self-sufficient and India is a mixed economy. So Pura scheme introduced by Ambedkar to prevent people migrating from rural to urban, to provide all the urbanized scheme to rural. So where urban contributes 67% of the GDP. And sublimation. Sublimation is a process where we directly shift from primary sector to tertiary sector, but it should be avoided. So from primary sector to secondary and then to tertiary, where we provide some scope for skill, education, infrastructure, and then move on. So in 2015, we introduced a NEEM scheme called Smart Cities. We selected 100 cities, providing all the urbanized structure, economy, and everything. We know that nation's development is development of a person. So when a person is provided with every element of the infrastructure, education, whatever it may be, that suppose his survival is development, that is what nation's development I say. So in pandemic, you have seen many countries diversifying themselves and improving themselves to fight with the corona, upcoming pandemics, to become a self-reliance. Here, Atmanirbhar Bharat provides such support to the nation development. Such support is taken from the people. Only when people develops, nation develops. Then only we can see India from developing to the developed nation. It's all in the hands of people, right?
Till now our friends were speaking about Atmanirbhar Bharat and self-reliant India. What is this self-reliant India? Is it promoting indigenous goods, or is it boycotting foreign products? Putting ban on imported goods, or banning that foreign products does not have positive effect every time. Ministry of Defense has banned 101 defense items, and we have to remember that it banned systems, not the subsystems. And our so-called indigenous aircraft, HAL Tejas, it has its radar imported from Israel. And we cannot say that importing the ban on these import goods also have negative effects all the time, because we are having our own examples like Green Revolution, White Revolution. What is this Green Revolution? It is India, we have grown from a stage of importing food grains from PL 480, which is also known as Food for Peace, to a stage of exporting our food grains to many other nations. And White Revolution, its main aim is not for increasing the milk production. Its main aim is to increase employment, and its main aim is to increase income. And this putting ban is having many effects. And what is this another definition of us promoting our indigenous goods? What is this indigenous? We have to promote our goods so that it can it can counterpart with the imported goods on the base of cost and quality. We can have the example of Maruti Suzuki. Maruti is our Indian company which produces, at first it used to produce at a high cost and low quality, but when it was collaborated with Suzuki, it started producing in the span of 10 years, it started producing the best cars, viable cars in India. Not only that, and one of the best examples is PPE Kids. PPE Kids, at first, when the pandemic started during the first wave in March, it was just, we don't have any production unit, but in the span of 2 months, we started producing 450,000 PPE kits a day, and it was the finest example also. And not only that, many of persons in this room are having mobile phones, and some of you having maybe 2. And any of you know that the chips you are using in your mobile phones are imported from Vietnam. And not even a single semiconductor microchip manufacturing unit is presented in India. From this Atmanirbhar Bharat, we can establish that chips also.
What my fellow said is completely right. Now I would like to add that if we are continuously focusing on development, economy, infrastructure, then what about climate? Climate is the ultimate goal for us. Because if you are not able to eat, if you are not able to get water to drink, if you are not able to get the oxygen, then how can we survive? If you are having all the development around us, then what is the use of development if you are not having climate around us, which is pure, which is very independent? So, in COP26 at Paris, what happened is, International Agency of Energy, what they said is, India is overcoming European Union, and India is becoming a world's 3rd largest country when it comes to energy consumption. So it will come around 2030, it will become the world's 3rd largest energy consumption. So if you are seeing here energy consumption, so for energy we need fossil fuels. If you are using fossil fuels, then the fossil fuels, they are non-renewable. So we are using it. So we can lack them in future. So if you are continuously using the fossil fuels, the combustion can happen. The combustion is happening now. We can see that. So combustion, it can lead to global warming. Then global warming will lead to pollution in soil, air and water. Ultimately lead to evil pollution. Is that what we want? We don't want any pollution. We want self-reliant India, which is sustainable. We want sustainability in every aspect. So we have to focus on climate as well. So imagine a situation if heart is having a pacemaker, which is an initiative of heart. So heart is having no pacemaker. So is it able to pump blood to the body? No. So nutrients are not available to the body. So ultimately the body will die. So what we need is self-reliant India is a body. So pacemaker is nature. So we have to support our nature as well, according to that.
I completely support my fellow mate's point. But putting it aside for some time, I would like to share you a story that I was always wondering. The story goes like this. There's an old man and he had a cute little granddaughter. He always kept educating her about the caste system. After a certain age, the girl raised a question. Grandpa, if our caste is the and we shall not bow in front of any other's caste, then why is my dad working under someone whose caste is really inferior to us? The grandpa had no answer. When the Constitution of India itself tells that all the people in our country are equal under the law, then why are we people still hanging on this caste system? In my point of view, there are some people who are supporting the caste system, as well as there are some people who are opposing the caste system. And there are some families who encourage intercaste marriage, and there are some families who completely even do honor killing when their own daughters and sons marry some people from other caste. In my point of view, I conclude it by telling that only when the people's mindset is alike in this caste system, all the people can change the caste system and completely remove this caste system from our country.
I completely accept my fellow mate, and I want to put forward my point that Modi ji even mentioned about innovation in his speech. This innovation can be achieved through education. So, the government of India came up with new educational policy which aimed at transformational reforms in schooling and higher education. Self-reliance is important in education because even from the childhood, if the children are taught to be self-reliant in learning, when they grow up, they will have the idea about their future and they'll have a plan about their future and career and realize their potential. So even parents should allow and encourage their children in realizing their potential and follow their path, and they'll definitely be succeed in their path. And even quality of education is also important, which we need to focus on, through which we can attain sustainable development. These quality of education can be achieved through gross enrollment ratio, net attendance rate, etc. Even we can observe that literacy rate is also increasing. During independence, that is just 12%, but it is nearly 75%. Even female literacy rate is also increasing. In 1951, it's just 9%, but it is now 59.3%. We can observe the increase in literacy rate. See, education is nothing but self-making process, which means building ourselves, which leads to building of nation. So think global but act local. Then we can become self-reliant in education.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. Education is the main factor which develops individuality and the country's development as well. Mainly, education is the main factor for empowering women too. Don't you think can we get self-reliance without empowering India? Without empowering women? No. The answer is absolutely no. We cannot empower women. We cannot achieve that self-reliancy without empowering women. So first of all, we must overcome this challenge so that our government is enacting many laws as well as schemes. Schemes like one-point centers, one-stop centers, Mahila Shakti Sardhak Kendras, and Ujwalas, etc. Mostly, though government is doing many of these schemes and laws, we are not aware of all these things. So first of all, we must get awareness about all these. Then we can achieve much development in this society. Mostly, we contribute only 12% in the Lok Sabha. And till now we only have one Prime Minister, one President, and only 16 Chief Ministers. which is pretty much less compared to the other countries. So whenever we increase this ratio and percentages, then we can surely tell that women is getting empowered. And finally, I want to tell that no women is much less than men. We are equally with men, which the constitution is assuring us. Finally, more women contribution, more the country's development, and we can make the Atmanirbhar Bharat program more successful. Thank you.
At last, I would like to conclude that our country is rich, divine, diverse in both knowledge, the education, infrastructure, everything. So, since time immemorial, we are helping people all over the world in past, in the present, in the future as well, because we are ethnically, traditionally, we are strong. We are culturally strong. So, we are helping everyone all over the world. So, it is time to become self-reliant, because self-reliant is the only road to true freedom. And being one's own person is ultimate reward. So, now we have to come just one step towards self-reliant and make our country glorious all over the world in all the aspects. Thank you so much.